April 17th, 2023, Penn Trafford School Board meeting order with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay,
Here you go.
Mr. Mango, roll call.
Yes, sir, Mr. President. Mrs. Dissing.
Here.
Dr. Klein.
Present.
Mr. Pachaski.
Here.
Dr. Costo is absent this evening. Mr. Leonard.
Here.
Mr. Matarazzo.
Here.
Mr. Neiman.
Here.
Mr. Petruzzi.
Here.
Mr. Stovall.
Here.
You have a quorum, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Mango.
You're welcome.
Okay, I'll now turn the agenda over to our beautiful excellent superintendent, Dr. Harris.
Thank you, Mr. Petrucci. I wanted to start off by announcing a band night for tomorrow. The thing is, the percussionists for the band are gonna actually do a show from, I believe it was 8:15 to 8:30. They are going on to compete in the world competition for the percussions, and they are doing a preview show tomorrow night. And I just wanted to make sure everyone has their attention. They've been advertising it. So if you can't go on the road with them because it is out of state, you can at least come tomorrow night and see them from 8:15 to 8:30. In addition, Mr. Patrice, I'm going to turn it over to you as well, because at the last meeting, you didn't have a time to give us any updates from CWCTC.
I'd like to postpone that to after recognition of visitors. Okay, they say want to stay.
They're going to speak very briefly, Mr. Petrucci, okay?
Pardon me?
They want to speak very briefly.
Yeah, okay. Could you please, just come to the podium, please, and,
So, you have an order for,
Yeah,
I
make
don't
your
have no,
announcement.
I don't see
Make
it.
your announcement.
That's right here. Is that mic on? Yeah, it is. Oh, that one, no.
I'm sorry, I do this, I'm sorry, I'm looking for an additional sheet. Thank you, Mr. Stobar. Okay, where's that list, where's that?
Right here.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. You must state your name, address, and group affiliation, if any. Your statements will be limited to 3 minutes in duration. All students shall be directed to the president. All statements shall be directed to the president, and no participant may address or question any members individually. You may be interrupted if your statement is too lengthy, personally direct, abusive, obscene, or irrelevant. And now I have a list of 3 people wish to speak: Susan Zumo Forney, Danielle Lierna, and Lydia Myers. So,
Susan's first.
pardon
I'm
me?
Lydia, I don't feel speaking.
Which one is she?
Sue's over here.
Susan,
Sue's
okay.
first.
Yeah, she was first.
Okay.
Oh, there's Daniel.
Okay, good evening. Thank you for taking a couple minutes for comments. There are a few of us who came just for the public comment session and were not able to stay, so I hope that's not disruptive
I'm just gonna make
if
sure
we
the
head
mic's
out.
on.
It's on. I put it on.
Is it on? Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, all right. So I just want to offer a few comments to consider as you plan next year's budget and engage in the next round of contract negotiations. And my comments fall under 2 broad categories of requests. The first being kind of requesting that you challenge the business as usual approach with the budgets, and the second being that you consider ways of increasing, if you can, the transparency in the budget discussions and offering like a greater public involvement and comment opportunities. With regard to business as usual, status quo, I mean, we've had tax increases for 5 years in a row. And I understand that the board requested that the budget this year be drafted with no proposed increase, which I'm sure is appreciated, by taxpayers. And, we all continue to deal with the financial impacts of COVID and soaring prices and all of that. But truthfully, these recent hardships that people are facing are almost beside the point, because as taxpayers, we'd like to see that approach taken all the time. That is, adjusting the budget to the existing resources, and that being the norm rather than the exception, because that's how the majority of us as taxpayers, business owners, and I imagine you in your budgets at work and at home do the same thing. So, You know, we ask just moving forward that you maintain that approach for budget and contract negotiations, because, you know, that's the only way that gives the taxpayers the full weight of consideration, you know, that they deserve, because they're not at the table. And it's also the principled approach, because the expenditure should be reflective of the communities that shoulder those costs. And I know it's been said that one cause of consistent tax increases is the fact that we don't have as many businesses as other school districts do. You know, and that certainly falls in the challenge column, you know, when you're looking at the budgets, but it can't become a justification for keeping up with the Joneses at the expense of the district residents. So we ask that you carry that deep regard for the residents that are taxpayers in your discussions on the budget, on contract wages, and benefits as well. We all want to attract and retain the best talent for our kids and our grandkids, but we wouldn't be having an honest discussion if we didn't recognize that the nature of most, if not all, the contracts that you negotiate don't rely on free market competition. So, and every year that we continue addressing them as if they do, or go on to business as usual, leaves the taxpayers sensing that there's an increasing gap between their economic circumstances and what they're being asked to fund.
Okay, you wrap up real quick, young lady?
Yeah, so I had a second point regarding transparency and flexibility with public comments. I can save that for another time, or just perhaps send those in. You know, in wrapping up, I'd just like to offer that, you know, we can keep the school system great and exceptional, at the same time work within the constraints of our resource and provide for more robust public opportunities. So I appreciate that you taking the time to listen. I guess you cannot respond to questions or comments, so I just would like to understand what the best way to do that formally is.
I'm going to respond a little bit. Please, don't want, we have two more speakers. Anyway, a few things. The transparency you mentioned, after we pass our preliminary budget in May, there's 30 days our books are open. That's the state law. And see Mr. Lego, and you can gladly come and discuss anything you want to do with him. It's wide open. That's just has to be. Number two, you mentioned our taxes. Remember, we have next to zero commercial tax base. We have no tax base. It's irrelevant. And number three, how frugal we are. Just look at the age of our buildings. All right, our central administration building is 1890. 1890. It's 130 years old. Okay, you don't see any, maybe probably the oldest one in the state, but I could be wrong on that, but I'm not sure. I won't go through it. And then you go in order after that. After that, we get McCullough, 1924. We go Penn Middle School, 1937. And then the rest of the ones in the middle there, which includes the Sunrise, Level Green, and Harrison Park, they're all in the late 50s or 60s. Trafford is 1962. The only newest buildings we got is this building here, which is 72, and also the building in the elementary wing in Trafford, which is 95. That's the youngest building we got. We have not elaborated any of our spending on any facilities. Everything's been directed, almost everything, towards education. And I've been here long, so we made sure it's happened. But I've also want to tell you this. I've also been here long, and I've been pleading to bank $1 million a year for years to save up to replace some of these old buildings that are costing us money to maintain. So believe me, we have, I think our record shows we've been very frugal.
Yeah, let me add to that, Mr. President, if I can. There's a couple, these are facts. The state, over the last, since I've been on the board, which has been many years now, the gap between what they're supposed to pay and what they're actually paying keeps growing. They're actually supposed to pay 50% of the tax bill, and it's way less than that now.
34.
So that the balance of that falls on the local taxpayers. So, number two, I think Nick said it a little bit. We can get you the actual figures. We are one of the higher performing districts, and we are one of the lowest cost per student districts. And if we would get those numbers to you, it's pretty impressive. We understand what you're saying. Believe me, every time that we make a financial decision, we're keeping in mind we're spending money that doesn't belong to us. It's taxpayer money. And I really do think that we do an equitable job based on all those factors being added into it. And the other thing you mentioned, there's no commercial base here at all versus Hempfield or Norwin. So I just wanted to let you, I'm not debating it, I'm just giving some additional information.
Well, it's a bit awkward when I have my time restricted and you guys provide comments back and I'm not able to respond to you, and that's okay. I can manage that, but,
I personally would gladly meet with you after the meeting if you wish to do that.
I'm sorry?
I'll personally, we can sit up here, and I'm glad to talk to you about taxes if you want, after the meeting. If you just want to discuss it. I'll talk, that's no problem with me in that. Your time's run, and if you want to stick around, we can maybe allow you to talk too. But we have two other people that's supposed to speak, and give them a chance. We'll go through our agenda, and then, I personally allow you more time to talk to the board if the board wishes. It's okay with me, I wouldn't care.
I have an additional quick comment. Mr. Kachasik mentioned where our rankings were. Just checked out recently of 599 school entities. They're not all districts like this. In the state, we're ranked number 11. And it's a sliding scale. We've been up higher, not much lower. And in statewide, this school district ranks in the low 3% of cost per student. So the academic and athletic and all the achievements have been in the upper couple percent, and cost per student is in the low 3 or less %. So as far as the management of the dollars and everything, and using everybody's tax dollars wisely, the board knows, I fight the tax increases all the time. I vote no, but
That's
there
very,
comes a
very
time,
true.
and they always count on me not to vote for a tax increase. I've been on the board the third longest. Mr. Petrucci's been on there 40,
Century.
almost half a century, 40-some, and Mr. Kachasik, he's 17 years.
Quarter century.
And I'm on my 16th year. So us three have been here the longest, and seen the most, and we have worked hard to use the dollars wisely. I've lived in this community for 65 plus years. Grew up here, raised kids here, and I'm still here. So we are doing the best we can, what we have.
Yeah, no, I don't mean to imply that you aren't doing the best that you can. The information you just shared is helpful for other people to know. I mean, most times people don't know there's a tax increase until they open their prospectus in August. So I think there's some opportunities to have some exchange of information and some weigh-in on some of the more, sensitive areas with negotiations, and a better understanding of, the challenges that you face as well. I mean, you might have residents that might weigh in with a different opinion on the direction you go.
My number's
and,
in the book, and nobody calls me. I'm listed by my name, and I have named Dallas. How many Dallases do you know? Dallas Leonard. I'm in the book, but nobody ever calls me. I'd be welcome anybody.
There may be some opportunity to increase people's comfort level and how they can participate and share, feedback.
We want people to be informed.
And I'll add to that too.
Right.
My phone number's listed too. No phone calls.
Last thing I'll say is before you guys voted on your taxes, on the taxes last year, that was one of the things I called to come to the meeting. And so one of the restrictions I was going to mention that you guys have is you force people to sign up Friday before your meeting at noon, or they can't speak. They can't come in and sign up like other people can. Maybe there's a good reason for that, I'm not sure, but I wasn't able to. So I emailed every board member here with a comment or question, and the only one that responded was Tony. And I have my email, so,
I'm glad you came.
yeah.
Please continue.
Well, next month, there will be a public display of, go through every single item in the budget, and you'll see where we're at. And, yep.
And our goal, like I had mentioned to you, is, and we have been discussing this since last year, a 0 mil increase. We hope that's possible. I can't guarantee you it's possible. We have state mandates, and as Phil talked about, sometimes there's that gap between what the states share and what our share is growing. And one of our big concerns, to be truthful with you, and this is a more recent development, is security. We have, I think, we have done a great job security, but when you hear the Nashville thing and other incidents happen, you have to really go back to your security and say, how can we do it better? So, we're still aiming for 0, but as we look at security and other things,
Okay.
we hope.
Is, Danielle here? Danielle, please step forward. Name and address, please.
Hi, everybody. My name is Danielle Llerena. I live in Trafford. My address is on file. I'm not sure if this is on YouTube or not, so I didn't want to state my address, but you guys have my
Okay.
address in the email that I wrote over the spring break. And I'm a parent of a first grader at Level Green Elementary and an upcoming kindergartner as well, so we're excited for that. I've changed my speech completely after speaking with a few of you after your executive session. So I just wanted to say thank you all. I was here to speak tonight about the phasing out of the French program and sharing the petition that I started with you all that Mr. Ingles, sorry, has. And, but I do really thank you all for reconsidering that elimination of that program. I myself am a world language advocate. I'm a teacher at the Norwin School District, and I'm their world language department head, Spanish teacher. I also have a French minor. And I have seen the benefits from been teaching 18 years of having a French, German, and Spanish program at a school, and hopefully that can grow in the upcoming years. And I just really thank you for all reconsidering that decision, and let's see how the numbers grow. And I'm here to offer my help as a world language teacher to say that if you need ideas throughout the department for boosting the enrollment, I'm also a leader of the Global Scholars Program at the Norwin School District, which we have seen significant increase in the numbers, especially maintaining throughout the levels of Spanish 1 through 4, French 1 through 4, German 1 through 4. And it's something also great that, Penn Trafford students can put on their college applications as well, just kind of standing out there from other students. It's called the Global Scholars Program. But thank you all again, and I'm hoping the numbers go up with maybe a new teacher coming through at the high school and middle school. And I'm here to thank you all for reconsidering that. I appreciate your time. Have a good night.
I'd like to respond to you.
Yes.
I taught 36 years at Norman Senior High School.
Did you?
And Mrs. Schreckengost.
Yes.
I don't know, I've lost, of course, lost that class.
Okay.
The French teacher.
Okay.
All right. She used to have trips every other year, going to France. And
Yes.
we bought the hoagies and whatever else at the fundraiser had, but that was a real strong program. Norman was a nice place to work.
It is. No, I'm grateful to have a job there, and
Thank you.
thank you so much for your time, guys. Have a good evening. Merci beaucoup.
One question for me, if you don't
Oh,
mind.
yeah.
So
Yes.
what is the total enrollment in your French program from 9th through 12th grade? All
At
offers?
Norwin?
Yeah.
I don't have those numbers in front of me right now. I can get those for you. I do know the next year's numbers in French 1 are 51 students. Our German numbers are actually 61 students. They're always competing with each other. The French and German teachers are always, yeah.
If you don't mind, would you mind?
Yeah, of
getting
course.
what
Yeah,
your
that's.
enrollments are in both of those programs and
Sure.
sending it to the
Oh,
city?
yeah.
Yep.
Now, we have seen numbers drop since COVID because a lot of students don't think they can handle the levels going up just from the online experience. I've surveyed a lot of the Norwin students, and they just say, I don't feel comfortable going to the next level because of my online experience. So I was hoping that you guys took that in consideration to hope the numbers can grow after we kind of phase out the COVID years, you understand? But like everything, we've seen scores drop, we've seen student enrollment drop and everything in the last couple years. But certainly I can email you those numbers. Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you, Dr. Harris. Thank you, everybody. Have a good evening.
And Lily said she's not speaking.
Lily's not going to speak?
Hi, my name's Lydia Myers. I live on Spring Valley Road. I'm a 2017 Penn Trafford graduate. I am a third generation Penn Trafford graduate. I am a second generation French Penn Trafford graduate. My father and I both took French here when we attended. I also wanted to thank the board for their reconsideration of the phasing out of the French program. Personally, I think that it's really important. I've gone on to learn Spanish, sign language. I'm learning Hebrew right now. I think that allowing students the most choice that they can possibly have when choosing a language is really important in that regard. My grandmother, when I would tutor younger French students, would always tell me, you know, Liddy, you are so lucky to live in a world and in a school district that allows you to learn so much and to grow your talent so much. And I'd like to see that continue, and I'm very happy that the board is allowing that. Thank you.
Libby, were you in the musical?
I was not, no. In middle school, I was Santa. That's my claim to fame.
I was thinking the same thing.
I was thinking too.
I just have a familiar face.
So are you using languages now?
Yes, I'm currently learning Hebrew. I'm part of an ASL program. I'm hoping to get my American Sign Language certificate so that I can not necessarily interpret, but help students who are nonverbal, who might not have the language skills necessary to communicate verbally, but they might excel perhaps in sign language.
I'd like to mention two foreign language teachers here. I mentioned my fellow board members past couple of meetings we've had here. The second largest economy in the world is the Chinese economy. Is there anybody teaches Chinese in Westmoreland County? Do you know?
There is, yes. That was in the previous speech. Actually, I'm gonna give this to you guys.
There-
I'll choke
there-
that out, but yeah, I'm sure we could find that, yeah.
No, I just wanted, that's my curiosity because it's a, you know,
Yeah.
second largest economy in the world. I just think it,
I know a couple of my cohorts, or maybe in the grade above me, they were so moved by their experience in the language program at Penn Trafford with Spanish, French, German, that they went to once-a-week classes at Carnegie Library for Korean. So it's always a good stepping stone, even if they don't necessarily, like I don't necessarily use French every day, but it is a foundational stepping stone that I think is necessary.
okay,
Thank you.
thank you. All right, now I think I'll move on here.
You have your
Okay,
word,
yeah, good, right. Okay, my report from a Career Tech, we met on, last Thursday, the 13th, and we discussed three main things, really. The first thing we did, we passed the budget, and the budget is for next year, for Career Tech, is $10,681,113, and that our enrollment, projected enrollment right now is 1,300, between 1,300 and 1,400, which will be the largest in a long time. And the Penn Trafford's donation, last year Penn Trafford had 100 students, or this year rather, 100 students going to Career Tech. Next year's projected 110. Penn Trafford, of that $10 million budget, Penn Trafford pays $667,000. That's is all the tentative agreement.
And how much did we go up?
Well, we went up, okay, I got that right here too, Dr. Harris. Last year we paid $545. This year we're paying $667, so that's approximately 22,
120.
yeah, $22,000. Okay, and you're educating 10 more kids, that's not bad.
Yeah, we like, we promoted,
Not bad.
our career tech, we promoted here, it's huge, we love our fact our kids go, we have so many. We do have, 10 additional kids, 110 kids going now to career tech, almost, about 1,200, not quite 10% of our whole class, but that it's a great opportunity, but then it does cost more money when you do have more students going.
Okay, and now also, maybe Mr. Lego knows this gentleman. We hired Daniel Glover. He was a business manager at, I want to say the Uniontown Hospital, College Hospital.
Oh, yeah.
You know the name?
Uniontown.
Uniontown, is that, okay.
Yeah.
And we, starting salary of $90,000. And also the, we'll go on now, we had to put a new sprinkler system in for $51,000. And that went to, Wesco, and, replacing the flat roof, $134,000, and that's going to, Strongly. Okay, now, I have more things here now. The, graduation, we're graduating 316 kids. Graduation is May 17th, I believe. I think I have it down there. Juniors, 410. Sophomores, 425. They'll be moving up to seniors and juniors. And we have 650 applicants. right now that wanna come in for next year, so that would definitely push us over the, 1,400 student enrollment. Okay, let me see, I got some more here for us. As you know, how much I've pushed, well, I'll go through this part here first. Graduation May 14th, I'm sorry. There are 100 students now on the co-op now. The average pay is $14 an hour. Their objective mentions that. The road, now, remember when the road show came here, they're now doing the road show to elementary schools. So that maybe a few of them that have here, I presume they put in one assembly and they give it to all students. There are 10 students enrolled in the CDL class for this month. There are 12 automotive technology seniors who will be taking the tactical exam for the Pennsylvania State Inspection Certificate. There are 8 machinist apprentices who will complete their related training through the NTMA. It's an apprenticeship program. Here's the salary of the students that are out. Believe it or not, the special needs kids are doing pretty good. The 100 students are out now in cooperative ed. 25% of co-op students receive special education salary of $13.31. The average salary for regular students is $13 an hour. And here's the listing. Agriculture is $12 an hour. Automotive collisions is $15.83. Automotive mechanical technology is $13.58. Construction trades is $14.08. Cosmetology is $9.15. Culinary arts, $11.87. Electrical technology is $13.45. Health occupations, $11.75. Heating, venting, and air conditioning is $13.14. Power line is $16.50. Protective services, $13.33. Restoration design, $11.20. Robotics, engineering, manufacturing, $14.49. Service occupations, $14.51. Sports medicine, $10 an hour. And welding is $15.29 an hour. Now, the Penn Trafford students that we have working out on job sites from our school district right here, Henderson Construction Electrical, Brooktree Management, that is also electrical, Redstone Manor, of course that's health occupations, Protective Services is Penn Township Ambulance, also Hamill Manufacturing employs 2 of our students. And that is all for that part there. Let me see what I have here. I just went through all this with us. Okay, that's all I have. Our next meeting is May the 4th, I believe. Oh, I have to mention this. This is because my good buddy, Mr. Leonard, he licks his chops every time I say this. Okay, menu is soup and salad, pasta vajol, Mediterranean pasta salad, chicken cordon bleu, wild rice pilaf, candy carrots. They were neat. And penne cotto and sugar curls, lay locks, buckeyes, and oatmeal raisin cookies. That's all I have to report for Career Tech.
Thank you.
Okay?
Do we have scouts in the audience tonight?
Yes.
Is that who's doing it?
Yes.
Which scout troop are you from?
201.
201. What grades are you in?
I'm a sophomore.
Sophomore? You were in what grade, I'm sorry? 8th grade, and you're 8th and 8th? Okay.
If you guys are interested in the Eagle Scout project, I have a couple things down at BY Park in Trafford. If you're interested, I'll gladly talk to you after the meeting. If you're interested in doing that.
We have several board members who are either Eagle Scouts or involved in the Scouts, and we're very happy to do any.
You know, they've been really, really good to the BY Park in Trafford. And then there's quite a few projects down there, and it's, you guys, you work great.
And not to steal you from Nick, but also the school district, you're always welcome to extra
No,
projects.
they a lot of money. Don't worry about school district.
So, we do appreciate
What
it.
rank are you guys?
I'm a life.
Life?
Second class.
Second? I'm one of the Eagles sitting on the board right now. I say once an Eagle, always an Eagle, but I'm an old Eagle. I was an Eagle back in the 60s. But yeah, I've hosted a lot of other young Eagle Scouts with their school projects. Before I retired, and it was always a pleasure. I helped with a lot of Eagle projects. And I did one of my projects right here in the school district, Sunrise Estate School, planting 1,000 pine trees. That's that.
Well, thank you for coming.
Okay. Old business,
None, Mr. President.
None, okay, thank you. Executive session, we discussed personnel, litigation, real estate, and school safety and security. Thank you, Mrs. Lane, for that. Okay, does the board wish to remove, yes, a consent agenda, does the board wish to remove any items from the consent agenda? Anyone wish to add any items to the consent agenda? Okay, and I'll now entertain a motion that, we pass, or go to page 14, right, ma'am?
No. Move to approve the consent agenda items as submitted under one motion.
Okay, need a motion to.
So moved.
Consent agenda.
Second.
Question?
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. Now I gotta go to page 14. Guys are ahead of me, thank you for that. Push these old bones a little bit here, okay, 14. Okay, I'll now go to, building grounds and safety, Mr. Leonard.
Yes, sir, Mr. President, I do have a motion. I would like to make a motion to authorize administration to complete all necessary documents to begin due diligence period for the purchase of a property for an administrative building pending review and approval of agreement terms by our solicitor.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Leonard, and a second by Mr. Nemick. Any question on motion?
Question?
Question by Mrs. Zissing. Any, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed.
Okay, I just make a comment on that. That administration that we're hopefully gonna be able to replace is replacing a, what's the age of that building?
1890,
1890.
and it has a bell on top like the reserve.
Yeah, that'd be nice to get that bell.
97.
Mr. Leonard, let that go.
So it's
I
like
hear you.
113 years old or something.
113.
126.
It's new. That's all I have, Mr. President. Thank you.
Okay. That's all, Mr. Leonard?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay, personnel curriculum, Mr. Kachasik.
Thank you, Mr. President. To move to employ the following personnel, new employment is contingent upon the receipt of all necessary documentation. That would include Clearances Act 34, Act 151, Act 114 from the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania within 30 days. Tyler Paseric, Assistant Boys Soccer Coach. Christopher Hoover, Assistant Boys Soccer Coach. Ashley Gray, Custodian at Sunrise Elementary. Eric Bonafonte, Custodian at Penn Middle. Marion Emanuel, Custodian at Penn Middle. Robert Ferguson, Super Sub at Harrison Park Elementary. Joni Peterson, a PCA at McCullough Elementary. Julia Dander, a PCA at Harrison Park Elementary. Aaliyah Butts, a PCA at Level Green Elementary. And Marissa Holt, a Super Sub at Level Green Elementary.
I have a motion by Mr. Kachasik, a second on motion?
Second.
Second by Mr. Leonard. Any question on motion?
Question.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed.
That is all, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Kachasik. Okay, now we'll go down to Assistant's report.
Thank you. I have nothing further to report this evening.
Thank you, Mrs. Lane. Okay, I'll now entertain a motion for adjournment.
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Kachasik, a second on motion?
Second.
Second by Mr. Leonard. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. Nice meeting. See you on the 8th, May 8th.
First.